neighbor or make some comment about me not really being part of the family. She just thanked the neighbor for the compliment and moved on to the next house. Before Japan, Linda would have found some way to exclude me from that compliment or clarify that I wasn't really her daughter. The fact that she kept quiet felt like progress, even if it was uncomfortable for her. When November rolled around, Frank announced at dinner one night that Thanksgiving was coming up and we needed to start planning the menu. He said that, like always, I'd be helping him cook the turkey since it was our tradition that started before he married Linda. Linda's fork stopped halfway to her mouth, and I saw her face do that thing where she wanted to object but caught herself. She put the fork down and asked if she could make special stuffing to contribute to the meal. Frank said that would be great, and we spent the rest of dinner dividing up the cooking tasks. Linda took on the stuffing, sweet potatoes, and cranberry sauce, while Frank and I claimed the turkey, gravy, and green beans. Tom and Bobby got assigned to the table and handle cleanup, which they pretended to complain about but didn't really mind. Thanksgiving morning arrived cold and sunny, and I got up early to help Frank prep the turkey. Linda came into the kitchen an hour later to start on her dishes, and suddenly we were working side by side for the first time ever. It felt incredibly awkward at first, both of us moving around the kitchen trying not to bump into each other or get in each other's way. We didn't talk much beyond the basics of asking for ingredients or checking oven times. But when I needed her to pass me the salt, she handed it over without any attitude or eye rolling. And when she couldn't figure out her stuffing recipe because the card was stained and hard to read, she actually asked me for help instead of waiting for Frank to come save her. We worked together for 3 hours, and while it wasn't comfortable or natural, it also wasn't hostile. That felt like a bigger achievement than it probably should have. By early afternoon, the whole meal was ready, and we all sat down at the dining room table. Frank had set it up really nice with candles and the good dishes, and Bobby had even folded the napkins into fancy shape learned from a video. Before we started eating, Frank stood up with his wine glass and said he wanted to make a toast. He talked about being grateful for family and for second chances, and then he said specifically that he was proud of how hard we all worked to become a real family despite the challenges we faced. He looked at each of us as he talked, and when his eyes landed on Linda, his expression got really serious and meaningful. Linda raised her glass along with everyone else, but I noticed tears forming in her eyes. Her hand shook a little as she brought the glass to her lips, and I couldn't tell if the tears were from guilt about how she treated me, or sadness about how hard this all was for her, or maybe something else entirely. She looked down at her plate quickly and blinked several times, and when she looked back up, her eyes were still wet, but she was trying to smile. We all started eating, and the meal was really good, but I kept thinking about those tears in Linda's eyes and wondering what was really going through her head. The next few weeks passed with everyone settling into this new version of normal, where Linda tried and sometimes succeeded at being less horrible. December arrived with cold weather and early darkness, and one Saturday morning, Linda suggested we all go pick out a Christmas tree together. Frank looked surprised but pleased, and Tom and Bobby immediately started arguing about whether we should get a huge tree or a medium one. At the tree farm, Linda walked beside me instead of positioning herself away from the group like she usually did. She asked which tree I thought looked best when we stopped in front of a 7-footer with full branches. I said it seemed nice, and she nodded, then asked Frank and the boys what they thought. We ended up getting that tree and loading it onto the car together, with Linda actually helping tie it down instead of standing back and watching. Back at the house, we spent the afternoon decorating. Linda pulled boxes of ornaments from the garage and started handing them to me one by one. She made small talk about my favorite Christmas memories, asking if I remembered the year my dad dressed up as Santa when I was 6. I did remember and told her about it, and she smiled this tight smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. The whole conversation felt rehearsed, like she'd practiced what to say with a therapist. But at least she was talking to me instead of pretending I wasn't there, which was more than she'd done for months. Tom put on Christmas music, and Bobby kept trying to put ornaments on the highest branches, even though he couldn't reach without a ladder. Frank supervised and made jokes about our decorating skills. Linda handed me a glass ball ornament painted with snowflakes, and asked where I thought it should go. I hung it near the front of the tree, and she said it looked good there. The afternoon felt strange and awkward, but not actively hostile, which seemed like progress even if it didn't feel natural. A few days later, Bobby found me in my room doing homework. He asked if I'd help him pick out Christmas presents for Tom and Frank since I knew them better than anyone. I said sure and started suggesting ideas, but then Linda appeared in my doorway. She said she'd take us shopping together if we wanted. Bobby looked as surprised as I felt, but he said that would be great. The shopping trip happened that weekend and turned out to be more pleasant than I expected. Linda drove us to the mall and followed along while Bobby and I went store to store looking for the perfect gifts. We found a new basketball for Tom and a nice tie for Frank, and Linda gave her opinion when we asked, but didn't try to take over or make it about her. Bobby talked the whole time about what he hoped to get for Christmas, and Linda listened without getting annoyed. At one point, she even laughed at something funny Bobby said about Tom's terrible taste in music. We got coffee at the food court and sat together drinking it. And while Linda and I still didn't have much to say to each other beyond surface stuff about school and weather, At least the silence between us wasn't angry anymore. On the drive home, Bobby fell asleep in the back seat, and Linda asked me how my college applications were going. I told her about the schools I was considering, and she asked follow-up questions that seemed genuinely interested rather than just polite. It wasn't comfortable, but it was better than the Cold War we'd been living in since Frank married her. The following week brought our last family therapy session before the holidays. We all sat in our usual spots in the therapist's office, and the room felt less tense than it had during our first few sessions. Catherine asked Linda to share what she learned about her jealousy patterns over the past few months. Linda took a deep breath and said she'd been thinking a lot about why she reacted so badly to me. She admitted that she'd always competed with other women for attention and validation, going back to her own childhood with two sisters, who she felt got more love from their parents. She said that when she married Frank and saw how easily I got acceptance from him and the boys, it triggered all those old feelings of not being good enough. She said watching me fit in, so naturally when she felt like an outsider made her feel like she was losing some kind of competition she didn't know she'd entered. Her voice got shaky when she talked about how threatened she felt by a 17-year-old girl, her own daughter. Catherine nodded and asked Linda what she understood now that she didn't understand before. Linda said she'd learned that love wasn't a limited thing that got used up, and that Frank and the boys loving me didn't mean less love for her. She said her jealousy came from her own insecurity about whether she deserved to be loved, not from anything I actually did wrong. Then Linda turned directly at me for the first time that session. She said she was sorry for trying to exclude me from the family and from the Japan trip. She said her jealousy was about her own issues and not about anything I did wrong. The apology came out stilted and uncomfortable, like she was forcing herself to say words that didn't come naturally. But her eyes were wet, and her hands were shaking slightly, and I could tell she meant it even if she didn't know how to express it smoothly. It wasn't a perfect apology, and she still seemed like she'd rather be anywhere else. But it was more genuine than anything she'd said to me in over a year. I looked at Frank, and he gave me this encouraging nod. Then I looked back at Linda. I told her I appreciated the apology, and I understood she was working on her issues in therapy. But I also said it really hurt to have my own mother try to keep me away from people who actually wanted me around. I said it made me feel like I wasn't worth loving. Like there was something wrong with me that made her want to hide me. Linda started crying harder and nodded, wiping her eyes with the tissue Catherine handed her. I said I was willing to keep trying if she was, but that I needed her to actually treat me like family instead of like competition. Catherine said this kind of honest communication was exactly what we needed to keep doing, and that both Linda and I had shown real courage in being vulnerable with each other. The session ended with Linda and me not hugging or anything dramatic, but with this understanding between us that we were both trying even if it was messy and hard. Christmas morning arrived cold and bright. I woke up early and went downstairs to find Frank already making coffee, and Tom and Bobby arguing about which presents to open first. Linda came down a few minutes later in her bathrobe and actually wished me good morning before getting herself coffee. We all gathered around the tree and started opening presents, and for the first time since Frank and Linda got married, it felt somewhat normal. Linda didn't make weird comments about how the boys should open their presents from her first, or try to create separate mother and son moments that excluded me. She sat on the couch next to Frank and watched all three of us kids rip through wrapping paper and compare gifts. When I opened the present from Linda, I found a leather journal with Japanese characters embossed on the cover. Inside the cover, she'd written a note saying it was for practicing Japanese writing. I looked up at her surprised, and she said she remembered how much I'd enjoyed learning the language for our trip. It was actually thoughtful, showing she'd been paying attention to my interests instead of just buying something generic. I thanked her and she smiled. A real smile this time that made her face look softer. Tom got new basketball shoes, and Bobby got the video game he'd been wanting, and Frank got a watch from Linda that he seemed to genuinely like. We spent the morning in the living room surrounded by wrapping paper and ribbons, and while it wasn't perfect, it felt like an actual family Christmas instead of the tense performance it could have been. After we finished opening presents and cleaned up the mess, Frank asked me to help him in the kitchen. Once we were alone, he told me how proud he was of how I'd handled everything with grace and maturity. He said most kids my age would have fought back or caused drama, but I'd stayed calm and let the adults work through their issues. I felt my throat get tight and had to blink a few times. Frank put his hand on my shoulder and said that no matter what happened with Linda's progress, I would always be his daughter and always have a place in this family. He said when he married Linda, he gained a daughter, not just a son, and nothing would change that. Hearing him say those words made me feel secure in a way I hadn't felt since my parents divorced years ago. I'd spent so long worried that Linda would eventually succeed in pushing me out, that Frank would choose his wife over his stepdaughter. But standing there in the kitchen with looking at me like I really was his kid, I finally believed that I belonged here. I hugged him and he hugged me back. And when we went back to the living room, Linda was watching us with this complicated expression on her face. She didn't look angry or jealous this time, though. She just looked sad and maybe a little hopeful, like she was starting to understand what she'd almost destroyed. The week between Christmas and New Year passed quietly with everyone relaxing at home. On New Year's Eve, Frank suggested a family game night instead of going out. We set up board games in the living room and ordered pizza and spent the evening competing over who could win at trivia and strategy games. Bobby kept making jokes about Tom's terrible guesses during trivia, and Tom threatening to tackle him. I made some comment about how Tom's basketball skills clearly didn't translate to brain skills, and Linda actually laughed. It was this genuine surprise laugh that made everyone stop and look at her. She seemed almost embarrassed that she'd laughed at my joke, but she didn't take it back or make it weird. The moment felt significant, even though it was small. Like maybe she was starting to see me as a person, instead of as competition for her family's affection. We played games until almost midnight, then watched the ball drop on TV with sparkling cider that Frank poured for everyone. Linda stood next to me during the countdown, and when we all cheered at midnight, she smiled at me. It wasn't forced or rehearsed this time. It was just a normal smile between two people celebrating together, and that felt like more progress than any therapy session could create. January brought cold weather and the return to school after winter break. One afternoon, Linda found me in the kitchen getting a snack. She asked if I'd want to go to lunch with her sometime, just the two of us, to talk about Frank and the boys around. I felt nervous immediately, wondering if this was some kind of trap, or if she was going to tell me she wanted me to move out. But her face looked genuine and a little nervous too, so I said, okay. We picked a Saturday and met at a casual restaurant near the mall. Sitting across from each other in a booth felt incredibly awkward at first. Linda ordered a salad and I got a sandwich, and we made small talk about the menu and the weather until our food arrived. Then Linda put down her fork and said she needed to tell me something. She said therapy had helped her realize she'd been a terrible mother to me since she married Frank. Not just bad or imperfect, but actually terrible in ways that could have seriously damaged me. She said she'd spent so much energy being jealous and threatened that she never stopped to think about what she was doing to her own daughter. Her voice cracked when she said that last part. I didn't know what to say, so I just listened while she kept talking. She said she understood now that her jealousy came from her own childhood issues and insecurities, and that taking those feelings out on me was cruel and wrong. She said watching me connect with Frank and the boys so easily made her feel like she was failing at both being a mother and being a wife. Linda's voice got quiet when she explained that if her own daughter fit in better than she could, what did that say about her as a person? I put down my sandwich and told her that's not how family works, that there's enough for everyone and nobody was competing. I said I understood her insecurity made her see things differently, made her think love was some limited thing that ran out if too many people got some. Linda nodded and wiped her eyes with her napkin, then said she was starting to see that now through therapy. We finished eating and split the check, and when we walked out to our cars, Linda said she hoped we could do this again sometime. I said okay, and we both got in our cars and drove home separately. We didn't become best friends over lunch, but we did reach an understanding that we were both part of this family, and Linda's jealousy wasn't going to control our relationship anymore. Linda told me she was going to keep working on her issues in therapy, and she hoped that eventually we could have a real mother-daughter relationship, instead of this strange dynamic we'd been stuck in. I said I hoped for that too, and I meant it, even though I wasn't sure it would actually happen. February brought Tom's 17th birthday, and he asked for a family trip to an amusement park about 2 hours away. Linda agreed without trying to exclude me or making excuses why I couldn't go, which felt like progress. We all piled into Frank's SUV early on Saturday morning and drove to the park with Tom picking the music. At the park, Linda even rode some roller coasters with all of us instead of sitting out and watching like she used to do. She screamed on the drops and laughed when we teased her about closing her eyes during the loops. Bobby dragged us to the biggest coaster in the park, and Linda actually got in line with us instead of offering to hold bags. The ride was intense, and when we got off, Linda's hair was a mess and she was breathing hard but smiling. Tom high-fived her and said he didn't know she had it in her, and Linda smiled wider and said she was full of surprises. At the amusement park, a photo booth caught Bobby's attention near the food court, and he insisted we all squeeze in for pictures. Linda didn't hesitate or try to arrange the photos without me like she might have done months ago. We crammed into the tiny booth, with Frank and Linda in the back, and me squished between Tom and Bobby in front. The camera counted down and we made faces, then switched silly poses, then tried to look serious, but Bobby ruined it by crossing his eyes. We looked at the strip pictures when they printed out, and we actually looked like a real family having fun together. Linda studied the photos for a long moment, then said she wanted copies for her wallet. Bobby got extras printed so we could each keep one, and Linda tucked hers carefully into her purse. We spent the rest of the day riding more rides and eating overpriced theme park food, and Linda stayed engaged and present instead of checking out or looking annoyed. When we drove home that evening, everyone was tired and happy, and Linda fell asleep in the passenger seat with her head against the window. March brought my 18th birthday, and Frank threw me a party with my friends and family at the house. Linda helped set up decorations in the living room and backyard, hanging streamers and blowing up balloons without complaining. She actually seemed happy to be celebrating me, asking what kind of cake I wanted, and making sure we had enough food for everyone. My friends started arriving around 6, and Linda greeted them at the door and made them feel welcome. Frank grilled burgers and hot dogs in the backyard, while Tom and Bobby set up the outdoor speakers for music. After we ate cake, Linda asked everyone to gather in the living room because she wanted to say something. She stood up in front of everyone and gave a short speech about how she was grateful I was part of the family and how proud she was of the person I'd become. Her voice cracked a little when she talked about how much I meant to Frank and the boys, and how she was learning to appreciate that instead of resenting it. Several of my friends started crying, and one of them hugged Linda and said that was the sweetest thing she'd ever heard. Linda hugged her back and then came over to hug me, and it felt genuine instead of forced like her hugs used to feel. After my birthday, Linda found me in my room a few days later and asked if she could talk to me privately. She sat on the edge of my bed and told me that seeing how much Frank and the boys loved me had taught her that love isn't a limited resource that gets used up. Linda said she was learning that their love for me doesn't mean less love for her, and that her jealousy was based on a scarcity mindset that therapy was helping her change. She said her therapist had been working with her on understanding that families can grow bigger without anyone getting less, that adding people doesn't divide love but multiplies it. I told her I was glad she was learning that, and that I never wanted to take anything away from her. Linda said she knew that now, that she could see I'd never been trying to replace her or steal her family. She said she was sorry it took her so long to figure that out, and that she'd wasted so much time being jealous when she could have been building a relationship with me instead. Spring brought college acceptance letters, and I got into several good schools, including two of my top choices. Frank was incredibly proud and kept showing the acceptance letters to everyone who came to the house. Linda actually seemed genuinely happy for me, asking questions about my top choices and offering opinions without trying to steer me towards schools farther away from home. She sat with me at the kitchen table and helped me make a pros and cons list for each school, pointing out things about campus size and program strength that I hadn't considered. When I told her I was leaning toward the state university about an hour away, Linda said that sounded perfect, and she was excited to visit me there. She didn't suggest I should go farther away or act relieved that I was leaving, which was different from how I thought she might react. Frank ordered pizza that night to celebrate, and we all sat around talking about what college would be like and what I should bring to the dorms. At family therapy the following week, Catherine said we'd made remarkable progress and asked if we felt ready to end regular sessions and move to check-ins as needed. Everyone agreed that we'd come a long way since those first awkward sessions after Japan. Catherine told Linda specifically that she'd done hard work confronting her jealousy and changing her behavior patterns, and that kind of personal growth wasn't easy. Linda thanked her and said the therapy had saved her marriage and helped her become a better mother. Catherine said we should still meet once a month for a while just to maintain the progress, but that the weekly sessions weren't necessary anymore. Frank shook Catherine's hand and thanked her for helping our family, and Tom and Bobby both said they were glad we'd done the therapy, even though it was uncomfortable sometimes. Prom season arrived, and Linda offered to take me dress shopping, which completely shocked me. I said yes, even though I felt nervous about spending that much one-on-one time with her. The shopping trip was actually fun, with Linda giving honest opinions about dresses and helping me find one that made me feel beautiful. She told me when colors washed me out or when cuts didn't flatter my figure, but in a helpful way instead of a mean way. We tried on probably 20 dresses before I found the right one, a deep blue dress with a fitted top and flowing skirt. Linda tears up when I tried on the final choice and told me I looked stunning. She said I reminded her of herself at my age, and that she wished she'd been able to appreciate that similarity instead of feeling threatened by it. We bought the dress and matching shoes, and Linda insisted on paying for everything as an early graduation present. On prom night, Linda helped me with my hair and makeup in her bathroom. She had more experience with fancy styling than I did, and she showed me how to curl my hair so it would hold all night. She did my makeup carefully, asking what look I wanted, and making sure I felt comfortable with how much she was putting on. When Frank took pictures of me with my date on the front porch, Linda stood next to him smiling genuinely instead of standing back or looking uncomfortable. Tom and Bobby both came outside to see me off, and Tom told me I looked like a princess. Bobby agreed and said my date better treat me right or he'd have to answer them. Linda laughed and agreed, putting her arm around Bobby's shoulders. For the first time, it felt like she was proud to be my mother, instead of resentful that I existed in her family. Graduation came faster than I expected, and Linda pulled me aside one morning to ask if she could throw a party at the house for all my friends and family. I said yes, but felt nervous about it, wondering if she somehow used it to make me feel bad, or excluded like she used to do. She started planning right away and actually included me in every decision, asking what kind of cake I wanted and what decorations I liked, and whether I wanted a backyard party or something inside. We went shopping together for supplies, and she let me pick out everything from the tablecloths to the paper plates, and when we got home, she started setting up without trying to take over or change what I'd chosen. The party day arrived, and Linda had transformed the backyard into this beautiful space with string lights and a big banner that said, "Congratulations" with my name on it. My friend showed up, and Linda greeted everyone warmly, introducing herself as my mom and actually seeming proud to say it instead of uncomfortable. Frank and the boys helped serve food, and Linda moved through the crowd, making sure everyone had what they needed. And when people complimented her on the party, she thanked them and said she was so happy to celebrate me. It felt strange watching her play the proud mother role because she wasn't forcing it or performing for Frank. She just seemed genuinely happy that I was graduating and wanted to make the day special for me. Graduation day itself was hot and sunny, and we all had to sit in metal folding chairs on the football field waiting for the ceremony to start. My whole family sat together in the bleachers, and I could see them from where the seniors were lined up. Frank in his nice suit, and the boys in button-down shirts, and Linda in a blue dress. The principal started calling names alphabetically, and when he got to mine, all four of them stood up and cheered louder than anyone else in the stands. I walked across the stage and grabbed my diploma and looked out at them, and Linda had tears streaming down her face and was clapping so hard her hands must have hurt. After the ceremony ended, I found them in the crowd, and Linda grabbed me in this tight hug before I could even say anything. She told me she was so proud of the person I'd become, and she was sorry she almost missed out on being part of my life because of her own problems, jealousy, and insecurity. Frank hugged me next, and then Tom and Bobby both lifted me off the ground in a group hug. And for the first time since Linda married Frank, I felt like we were actually a real family, instead of people just living in the same house together. Summer started, and we all needed a break from the house, so Frank suggested a weekend trip to a beach town about 2 hours away. We packed up the car and drove there on a Friday afternoon, and Linda was actually relaxed and happy instead of tense like she used to be on family trips. At the beach, Linda suggested we recreate the family photo from Mount Fuji that we'd taken in Japan, and we all lined up in the same order we'd been in for that picture. The photographer counted down, and we all smiled. And this time Linda's smile was real, instead of forced and tight like it had been at the mountain. Back at the hotel that night, Linda showed me both pictures side by side on her phone. The one from Japan where she looked miserable and angry, and the new one where everyone looked genuinely happy. She said she couldn't believe how much had changed in less than a year. And I agreed because looking at those two pictures felt like looking at two completely different families, even though it was the same five people in both shots. August arrived, and I started packing boxes for college, folding clothes and wrapping up from my room to take with me. Linda knocked on my door and came in without waiting for me to answer, which would have annoyed me before, but now just felt normal. She sat on my bed and watched me pack for a minute before telling me that even though she'd miss me. When I left, she was excited for my future, and grateful that I'd given her a chance to be a better mother after everything that happened. She said our family was stronger because I refused to let her jealousy push me away, and she promised to keep working on herself in therapy, so I'd always feel welcome coming home for breaks and holidays. I stopped packing and hugged her and realized that our relationship wasn't perfect, and probably never would be. But it was real and honest now instead of fake and full of resentment. That was something I never thought we'd have after everything that happened in Japan. After watching her try so hard to exclude me from the family, and seeing her lose it at that temple when the guide called me Frank's daughter. Things weren't perfect, but they were real, and that felt like enough.